What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Latasha Hewitt Homes. Thanks for stopping by this channel. Here we talk about all things home and life. And life has been lifing over the last few weeks. Really excited about my daughter graduating from the 8th grade and preparing for high school. And of course, that brought family here as our guest. And it was our first time, I think, having that many guests at one time. Maybe for Christmas, I had that a few years back, but anyway, we had all the rooms filled with people staying over. And then the following week, we had some friends coming to visit us from Florida, family of 5, which we were excited about. And so I kind of wanted to kind of chart my journey of preparing for guests. If you're like me, I love entertaining people in my home. One, because I think home should be a place where the people you love and appreciate, who have made a big impact on your life, can gather and continue to deepen those relationships. And so I kind of just wanted to share with you guys my routine when preparing for guests. So let's check this out right now. Okay, guys, so one of the first things I like to do is vacuum. One, because I just hate walking on things under my feet. So if I don't have slippers on the carpet, then I definitely like all the debris to be picked up, particularly in the areas where we spend a lot of our time, which in this case is the den. This is where we congregate. And so I definitely like to make sure this room is particularly well vacuumed. And I mean, to me, vacuuming is one of the easiest things you can do. And just so you know, maybe couple of weeks ago, we actually had our cleaning service come before our first set of guests, so that we didn't have a lot to do. This is just kind of maintenance of just cleaning up after ourselves, as we should do anyway. But definitely vacuuming is one of the major things I do in all the rooms, but particularly in the high traffic areas that we use all the time. The next thing I did to prepare is to spot clean our sofas. If you've been following this channel, you know I tried that sofa cleaning hack, and it was time for a refresh. So I got my materials together and got to work. I saw, of course, some areas that needed some attention. And the other thing about using this method is that it not only cleans out the spots, but it also makes the room smell really great. Next, moved on to the living room, and really all I had to do in here, we don't use this room a whole lot, was just wipe off some of the surfaces. So just spraying some general like glass cleaner on there and just wiping it off just to make sure any extra dust is not on the surface. So I kind of do that with various surfaces around the home, just to make sure nothing visibly dusty is present. And like I said before, it had just recently been cleaned, so you can even still see the vacuum marks from the cleaners who had already. So I just fluffed a few pillows, freshen it up a little bit, but no major cleaning needed in that room. But one of my major plans was to reorganize the pantry. Now, this is something that I wanted to do anyway, but definitely before having guests, because I always feel like, you want to be able to offer people things. You want to know what you have in there, but you also want to be able to say, hey, go check out the pantry, get whatever you need. And you want it to be an area where they can see everything that's in the pantry. So I was putting some water, which I'd like to keep in the trays, but I recently put plates in there and cups. So I was like rearranging some things, and I just didn't like how things were kind of being thrown together very, very quickly into the closet. And I definitely wanted to tackle getting that organized. One of the easiest things for me to do was to kind of start at the bottom and clear out the plastic bags. I mean, there's such an accumulation of them. In terms of the bins, I wanted to kind of, like I said, take them out, put them on the counter, and reorganize everything, make sure everything is visible. And so just made sure things that kind of been sloshed together in the baskets were laid out pretty neatly, and then just pretty much put everything back where it should go. Now, this is something like I said, I want to do regularly, and I will probably make it part of my, weekly routine, because it doesn't take long if you're maintaining it over the course of time. But definitely right before guests, I like to make sure the pantry is in order because there's so much activity around that area. Of course, once the pantry was done, I moved on right beside it to the refrigerator. This is also what I consider a high traffic area when guests are there. You're serving food, you're serving drinks, and you want to be able to tell them where to go in the fridge. And so, started with the outside, giving that a nice little clean, but then moved very quickly into the inside. And for me, the best method was to just pretty much take everything out. And I did that. I took everything out of the refrigerator. And I was also looking for ways that I can consolidate some of the items that were in there. One of the things I also wanted to do is to preserve the fruit, like blueberries or strawberries, by putting them in glass containers. If you haven't heard that already, it helps fruit to stay longer in the refrigerator when you put them in a glass container as opposed to plastic or leaving them in the container in which you purchased them. So I went through the whole process of washing them and drying them off and putting them in the appropriate jars, and also had in mind that I wanted to use some of these things for breakfast, and so it would be easy for me to grab them and have them ready to go. But I really liked how I was able to save some space in the refrigerator by going through this process of washing the fruit. In the case of the strawberries, chopping them and putting them into the jars for easy access. So that worked out pretty well. I love just seeing the jars, and of course they fit very neatly back into the refrigerator. I did the same things with peppers. I had all these peppers, and I don't use them necessarily every day, so I decided I wanted to go ahead and give them a good wash and then just chop them and slice them in different ways. One that I could freeze and easily grab whenever I'm making something that requires them, so I sliced them. I also decided to dice some of them because I like to make like a veggie egg scramble or something like that. And so those are very convenient to kind of just pull out. And I decided that that's what I was going to do. And anything excess that I didn't use this weekend, I would put it in the freezer until I need it. And so I wish I was disciplined enough to do this every single time, but all those peppers were reduced to these 2 small freezer bags. And I just love the way that once I opened my fridge again, I had some leftover food there. I had the jars there. Everything was visible, easy for me to see, easy to know what I needed, what I didn't have. The vegetable drawer was a little bit more organized. Used one of the trays in there. And I just love the way it looked. It made me feel comfortable being able to tell someone to go into the refrigerator. The other thing, moving on, is I like to wash all the bathroom rugs throughout the house. I feel like I want everyone to kind of have like a fresh slate as it relates to rugs in the house. Of course, I always freshen up the bathrooms, particularly the powder room on the main level, because when we hang out there, that's the bathroom that everyone uses. So emptied out the trash and put in a new trash bag in there, which of course I recycle our grocery bags. And then, of course, freshening up the toilet. I like to use Pine Sol for the toilet. One, it does a good job for cleaning, but also I just feel like it smells clean. And I always want people to feel like something is clean, especially bathrooms when they use them. Just gave it a wipe down all around the toilet as well as the sink. Just making sure everything was cleaned with a multi-purpose. I think I used one with bleach just to give it some extra clean. And I was really happy about that because I have a thing about bathrooms, and so I always want to make sure those are presentable in particular. Also made sure that little cabinet was stocked with extra toilet paper in case someone's in there and ran out. They don't have to ask. Everything's right there. And also, of course, wanted to bring in the rugs that I just washed and dried and put those in there nice and fresh. And now the powder room was ready to go. Next, I moved upstairs. Since we were entertaining a family of 5, I like to strip the beds and spray it down with Lysol. Just, just trying to disinfect, make sure everything is nice and clean. And while that was kind of like soaking in, I moved on to the next task. But at this point, I was ready to put my pillows back onto the sofa. They were dry now. I actually washed some of the pillows because, you know, sometimes people are holding things or eating things with the pillows. They get dirty. I actually washed them, dried them outside on the deck, and they were dry and ready to come back to the sofa. So this room was done. I had vacuumed, I had spot cleaned the sofa, had cleaned the pillows, and so this main room of entertainment was ready to go, and I was very pleased with the outcome. All right, moving right along. I also like to dust the wooden surfaces, especially those that are frequently used, like this table here in our kitchen. We tend to pop there and eat like lunch, dinner, but we also use it as a conversation space. And so I wanted to make sure that was a nice and clean and shiny surface. So I went ahead and polished that, as well as some other things throughout the house that needed a little wipe. After we were done with that, it was time to now put the sheets, always fresh linen for guests. I either, if I don't wash them freshly, I use fresh linen that's already in the closet, and make sure the beds are nice and clean and ready for guests. And then, of course, I always, too, want to make sure that I lay out the towels and the washcloth so that people don't have to ask necessarily. They know exactly where it is. So for both rooms, the guest room and Amara's room that would also be serving as a guest room, everyone had their towels and the rooms were ready to receive them. Another thing that I like to do is kind of find out what my guests like. In this case, one of the things, especially when they have children or maybe possibly picky eaters, I was told that they like lasagna. I was like, perfect dish, easy to make. And so I went ahead and prepared an entree so that when we had our main dinner, it was ready to go. All I had to do was put it in the oven when we were ready to eat. And that is how I prepared for our guest. All right, guys, so that wraps up today's video. I hope you enjoyed kind of seeing my process. Please share with me what's your routine. I'm sure there are other little things that we add to make things extra special, but this is the general one that I go by. One of the things I always say is a house, is a structure, it's a dwelling place. But a home is a place where you feel love and you feel the joy of being around people who you know love you back. And that's always the kind of environment I like to create for those who choose to stay in our home. Let me know what you're doing to make your home welcoming for guests. I'd love to see what your routine looks like. Maybe I can add some of it to mine. But thanks for watching this video. All right, so if you like this video, you know exactly what to do. Go ahead and just press that little button there. And if you haven't already, we'd appreciate it if you would subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.